everybody, this is Leanne Alexander with another teacher training video from Pentecostal Publishing House. The holidays are here, and so that means it's busy times for us all. Perhaps you have changes to your schedule at church, changes to your work and school schedule, and certainly family commitments and events to be planning for. But in the middle of that, we still want to go forward with our teaching ministry. And so this video is going to provide 3 tips to help you during the busy holiday season to maintain trajectory with your teaching. Well, the first tip we want to provide is to ask you to reach out to your church and find out what is your schedule going through the busy holiday season. For many of us, it will mean adjustments to the times that we have service and even to the times that we do or do not have our class. So for teachers, that means connecting with your director and finding out when you will and will not be having your regularly scheduled classes. Directors, if you've not yet checked in with your pastor to find out when you will and won't be having service and maybe a service for the whole family together, now's the time to do that. We are winding down here. We'll have our last few weeks of the year, and we want to make sure that we have a plan for when we'll be meeting so we can be prepared and make the most of that class time that we have together. So the first step is finding out what our schedule is with our church and with our class, and connected to that, you'll need to prioritize your teaching material. If you use apostolic curriculum from here at Pentecostal Publishing House, you know that we have a lesson for each week of the year. Of course, you can use that whenever in the week you want to. And now that we know we may have schedule changes in your local church, it's time to decide, okay, will we be able to cover everything? If not, what will we use and what won't we? I'm in a season where I'm teaching adults in my local church. And so for me, that process means asking, well, first of all, what's the most important material I need to be sure we cover? And I make sure I go ahead and schedule that first. And then I kind of look at it from the other way. Okay, what could I get by without teaching? Of course, I want to go through it all. But if I say, you know what, I know we cover this material at other times in our class schedule over the course of our teaching time with this group, then that's the material that we'll put on the shelf and save and focus on that first material and make sure we prioritize that. So you'll need to go through that steps if there will be times that you won't be having class. And I recognize for some of you, you're not able to meet in your classroom, in your church building, but I'm hoping that you're having Zoom meetings or you're having something to connect with your group and those in your care. You've got to walk through that same process. Are we going to be able to have all our regularly scheduled Zoom meetings, or do we need to make some changes to our schedule? If so, we've got to communicate that out to the group and then allocate for those times we're able to meet. What are we going to cover? So let's make all those decisions now before we get into the weeks of the busy holiday. People are traveling. We're trying to decide on the fly, what are we teaching? Let's go ahead and decide that up front now and be prepared with a good, strong plan for our group. So that's the first thing, figure out our schedule and our teaching material. Second, let's go ahead and use the holidays to our benefit to connect with our group and our students. Now, what I mean by that, for those of you who teach younger students, children, you've probably noticed that around the holidays and around busy, exciting times where there's change to routines, students come in with all of that energy and that pressure just right at the surface. And so it means they've got the talkies a little more than usual. They're excited. They want to tell you what happened with their family, with the party at school, whatever the case may be. And if we're honest with ourselves, sometimes as teachers, that's a little frustrating for us because we feel like we have to compete and we want to, silence them so we can get into our agenda. And that can be frustrating for them and for us. And I want to encourage you to instead use that energy and that excitement in our students to our benefit. So if you've read my book, Teaching to Transform Hearts, you know that I talk about connecting to prior experiences. And what I mean by that, when we have students of any age come in and they've had a week of all kinds of things happening in their homes, at school, at work, wherever, and then suddenly we want to start talking about the Old Testament or the New Testament, whatever the case may be, we're trying to pull them back into Scripture, and their brain is consumed with everything else that's been going on that week. It can be a difficult process to make that connection if we're not intentional about it. Connecting to prior experiences is really a tweak of what the education world calls accessing prior knowledge. And it's just that simple thing that we've seen Jesus do in his ministry, where we try to find something familiar in the world of the group we minister to and start there and then build a bridge over to the Bible content we're going to be teaching that might be less familiar. It's a very simple technique. Well, we've got a way to do that now in a very powerful way because we have our groups of all ages will be coming in with a lot on their minds about the holiday season. Let's go ahead and acknowledge that. Instead of trying to compete with that, let's go ahead and ask at the beginning of the group. Go around the circle, tell us what you did for Christmas, or tell us what you're going to do this week for Christmas. Let everybody go ahead and share that. It's at the surface anyway. And then let's find a way to bridge that over to what we're going to be studying. If we're going to be studying the Christmas lesson anyway, let everybody go through all their travel plans and then say, well, can you imagine for the very first Christmas when Mary and Joseph are traveling to Bethlehem? Think about the pressure you feel getting ready for your holiday plans, and now imagine in their world. That's a bridge technique that can work to our benefit. It's also just a simple way to build relationships. The people in our groups have all of these cares and concerns, and whether it's excitement or whether it's stress, it's all right at the surface. As a leader of our group, when we can walk over to that child, to that adult, and just check in and say, hey, how's it going? There's an obvious way that we can build a relationship there. Maybe the child who's not very talkative that you're maybe struggling to build a rapport with. This is a really good time to initiate a conversation, because you're not just trying to pull something out of thin air to talk about. You have something that very much is going to be front and center in their minds. So step number 2, we're using this Christmas energy and all of the holiday excitement that our students are coming to class with. Let's use it to our benefit to connect more deeply with them. And then the third step, during this season, let's emphasize spiritual disciplines. Now again, if you have apostolic curriculum from PPH, we have teaching material all thought out strategically, but all of these lessons are starting points for you to use and craft in a way that you know will minister to your group best. What you can do in the course of these lessons will be very easy to emphasize, to pull out what's already there, the importance of daily prayer and Bible reading. And here's why. Pastor Darrell Johns, pastor of Atlanta West Pentecostal Church, has an excellent article in the summer issue of the Pentecostal Life a few months back. And he talked about how, as we travel, he was talking about during the summer, but it absolutely applies during the Christmas holidays, when our routines with school, with work are changing, when we're very busy and we have lots of events and all of our typical patterns break down and change, it's very easy to really let go of some of our spiritual disciplines as well. Maybe our prayer time is built around a certain part of the start of our day. And when I wake up and get dressed for school and dress the kids for school and all of that, during that course, maybe that's when we're listening to the Bible on audio, or maybe we have a certain prayer time as we move from this part of our morning routine to this. Well, now with the holidays and we turn off the alarm clock and we're not going to school or work, it's easy in the change of all those routines to also let our spiritual disciplines fall off the table, so to speak. We need to be proactive as teachers and leaders first, but also in encouraging our group. Let's stay intentional about maintaining our prayer and Bible reading so that we're continuing to grow and we're not going to lose ground during this important Christmas season. It's something that we can do as leaders. And again, if your group is meeting over Zoom, you can still do that. Whatever way you're connecting with your group during this season, let's reach out, encourage them in maintaining their spiritual trajectory, maintaining their spiritual growth. So we're going to, number 1, check in with our leaders and find out what's our schedule, prioritize our teaching material accordingly. Number 2, we're going to use the excitement of the holidays as a way to connect with our students, not compete for attention, but build on the excitement and energy that our group has about the holiday season and connect them to our Bible material we're going to be studying. And then number 3, we're going to encourage that all of our group will move forward with their spiritual disciplines so that we continue to grow spiritually during this busy time. And I believe God's going to bless us and help us. Thank you so much for joining us for this teacher training video. Stay tuned for more videos to come.